going today. That's right. We are in it today and we are excited because I am talking to you about this book right here. I'm breaking down each and every chapter of Think and Grow Rich so that you can understand it, right? Because they put so much knowledge in books, right? And people say, well, if you don't read the book, you don't gain the knowledge. Sometimes you read a book and you don't gain the knowledge because you just don't understand what the author is talking about or how he's trying to break it down to you. So, what I'm here to do today, guys, is to break down another chapter in Think and Grow Rich. And in breaking down this chapter, what I want you guys to know is every single time I read this book, Think and Grow Rich, I got a whole new understanding to the point that I make it my duty to read this book every single year. One of my list of about 150 books that I try to rotate in my library of just books that I think are life changing. This is one of them, guys. So we're going to talk about chapter number 11 today. And chapter number 11 today is the mystery of sexual transmutation. Now, sexual transmutation, the emotion of sex, brings into being a state of mind, right? Now, I get it, guys. Some of you may get shy or even giggle um, with just the mere mention of the word sex. That is your programming. That is your programming. Your programming makes you think that sex has only one aspect. Okay. So, because of the large amounts of ignorance on the subject of sex, the state of mind that people generally, right, associate with it is the physical aspect. And because of the improper influences that we had coming up, I know I had extremely improper influences when it came to sex, to the word sex, to the act of sex, right? Things essentially physically have a highly biased state of mind. So the word sex is extremely biased because it has the connotation in your mind, I know it was in my mind, of only a physical act. Sex is not just a physical act. Okay, guys? So you guys got to understand that and you're going to grow. And this chapter is going to break it down to you. So let's go to the whiteboard. Let's open this thing up, man. Let's get it going on the whiteboard, guys. As I said before, um, the the mystery of sex transmutation is the 10th step, guys. It is the 10th step in you, right, changing your life. As I tell you guys before, pandemic proof your money, change your life, guys. This is how it goes. All right. And Think and Grow Rich can help you get there. So let's get into it, right? Now, the emotion of sex has in back of it the possibility of three constructive potentialities. So let's break down those three constructive potentialities of sex, right? All right, the first one is the perpetuation of mankind, obviously. So the perpetuation of mankind, I'm gonna make this a little small so we can fit it all in here because we got tons of notes from this. This is a action-packed chapter, guys. Action-packed. The second is the maintenance of health. Now, understand this, guys. When it comes to sex, right? The maintenance of health, there is no physical substitute. So So the maintenance of health. And the third one is, which I think is extremely important, the transformation. of mediocrity into genius through transmutation. Look at that. Okay. Now, just seeing those three things, right? I'm going to break down to you guys what sex transmutation really is. Okay. Sex transmutation means, and I'll give you the definition here as read by Napoleon Hill. It is the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of some other nature. Do you think that's worth writing down, guys? Of course it is. It is definitely worth writing down and having that definition. Move this over here so that when we're done with all this, you guys can screenshot it. I love screenshotting knowledge, especially when somebody's working on a whiteboard. So, okay. I'll make this smaller. So sex transmutation means, once again, the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of some other nature. That's simple, guys. That's simple. Now, understand this. Sex desire is the most powerful um, of all human desires. Okay? If you guys didn't know that already, there is no other desire, human desire, stronger than the desire for sex. Now, when harnessed, like when you harness that desire, that strong desire, and redirect it along other lines, this motivating force maintains all of its attributes of keenness, imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability, okay, unknown to us as individuals at any other time, right? That energy, when tapped properly, can take you to levels where you have no idea how you came up with ideas. This is how powerful it is. I'm going to put down those attributes that it brings, and I'm going to put that in a list. All right. So we're going to call that list attributes of sex desire. Now, let me move this list up here, make it small so it can fit in, and we're going to break this down. All right. So the first attribute that we talked about was keenness of imagination. The next one we talked about was what? Courage. Who isn't, right? Just develops courage um, when it comes to sex. How about willpower? That's right, willpower. How about persistence? Persistence, definitely. Creative ability for sure. All right. Um, Also, all of these factors are unknown at any other time, which any other profession or calling, including the accumulation of riches. You can use these desires, right? The keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence. When transmuted from sex desire, you can use these to obtain riches, guys. This is why we're reading this book, right? To change our life, to have the wealth and riches that we want. Okay. So, the transformation of sex calls for the exercise of willpower, but the reward is worth the effort. How many of you guys run around and you think you don't have the willpower, okay, to perform the transmutation of your sexual desires into something of its monetary equivalent? How about that? Now, the emotion of sex is an irresistible force against which there can be no such opposition as an immovable body. Okay? Men driven by this emotion become gifted with the superpower of action. I think that is worth writing down, guys. I believe that is a quote by Napoleon Hill, so I'm going to write it down so that you guys can see it and you guys can screenshot that. And me, what I do is these quotes, I put them on my mirror and I read them until I memorize them and I think about it. So the emotion of sex is an irresistible, an irresistible force. Okay, I'm gonna make this smaller so we can fit it all in here. It's an irresistible force against which there can be no such opposition. How about that? Which there can be no such opposition. My dog is snoring behind me. As an immovable body. Right? And they end this with men driven by this emotion become gifted with superpower for action. This emotion makes men move. It makes people move, guys. Not a lot of emotions do that, right? I learned a lot of positive emotions. And as I say this once again, this is a positive emotion. And the emotion of sex, it makes people move. Okay. It makes men gifted. It gives them superpowers, guys. So understand this. Sex transmutation contains the secret, right? The secret of creative ability, which it may be keyed up at high rates of vibration, right? And I'm talking high rates of vibration as in communicating directly with infinite intelligence, guys. Okay, and this high rate is known as enthusiasm, creative imagination, and intense desire. That is what the transformation does, guys. When you learn how to use this energy, your life changes, man. And for me, I learned it as I got older in my 50s, guys. Imagine if you started learning this in your 20s and 30s when your sexual energy was at its peak, was at its prime, right? But there are 10 stimuli, right, to which the mind responds to most freely. So let me give you those 10 stimuli in the list. So this is 10 stimuli the mind responds to. The first one is the desire for sex expression. Um, as Napoleon Hill says, this desire should not be repressed. Okay, when it is repressed, it is extremely unhealthy to do. Do not express, do not try to uh, not express the desire for for sex. Okay, the second one is love. The third one is a burning desire for fame, power, or financial gain, money. So, all right, the next one is friendship between either the same sex or opposite sex. The next one is a mastermind alliance based upon the harmony of two or more people who ally themselves for a spiritual or temporal advancement. So we don't have to write all that down. So I'm going to just put mastermind alliance, okay, and I'll put for spiritual or temporal advancement, that ally. Okay, how about that? The next one is mutual suffering. The next one is autosuggestion. The next one is fear. And the last one is narcotics. And alcohol. Now, guys, understand this. The last two are destructive, okay, and not something that you want to use to stimulate your creative abilities. All right. Um, where are we at next, guys? Okay, so now understand, it is a superior power, right? That geniuses use okay, in order to operate at a much higher level, such as that of creative imagination, they use the desire for sex, love, okay, and friendship, right? Um, to bubble over and give them that extra boost that is life changing, that a lot of people fail to understand the importance of using that. I'll move this out of the way. This is so we're gonna talk about that's 10 stimuli. I leave it right there, guys. So at this time, at this point, you should have a couple of questions, right? So I know I did at this point in time, and I believe that you should have a couple of questions as well. The first one is, and this was a question, one of the first questions that I had when it came to wanting to know how to communicate with the infinite intelligence when it came to the levels of genius. How did they do it? So that was my first question. So I'll write that question out for you. How may one communicate? How may one communicate with sources of knowledge which are not available, which are available, not. Oh, sorry, which are not available through ordinary thought. Okay. So how may one communicate with sources of knowledge which are not available through ordinary thought? And this should be a question that not only should you be trying to figure out on your own, it should be a question that once you find out the answer, you should be spending the entire life working to to perfect this answer to this question. Okay. The next question would be this, right? Are there known sources of knowledge which are available only to geniuses? Which is yes. And if so, what are these sources and exactly how may they be reached? So those are two questions Napoleon Hill wrote out in a book. And I guess, you don't know what you don't know until somebody shows it to you, right? And so I had no idea I needed to answer those type of questions until Napoleon Hill explained it to me that those are the type of questions that you need to ask. You know how you go through life and you believe that you have the answer to everything, and you believe that you are asking the right questions and you're not getting anywhere. Well, the reason why you're not getting anywhere is because you are not asking the right questions, because you don't know that you don't know. How about that, guys? I did not know what I didn't know. And as you get older, hopefully, as you get older, you will soon realize and see that you know very little when it comes to the immense amount of knowledge throughout the universe. So here's the question. Are there known sources of knowledge which are available only to geniuses, So available only to geniuses. Okay. And if so, what are these sources? And exactly how may they be reached? So what are the sources and how may they be reached, guys? These are powerful questions that if you did not know um, that you needed to ask those questions in order to get the right answers to move forward in life, now you know. Okay, so these two right here, make them small so you guys can screenshot it, highlight it, whatever you guys like to do, and here they go. So these two questions are key and important to moving you forward in learning the art of sex transmutation. Okay. Now, genius is developed through the sixth sense. Now, the first 5, 6, 7 times I read this book, I was in my late 20s, early 30s when I read this book. And the sixth sense, I don't know why, as many times as I read this book, I did not understand what they were talking about. I just thought that the sixth sense was the sixth sense, a spiritual just thing. But it is defined in this book. And it is defined as creative imagination. That is what the sixth sense is. I, a lot of you guys, you read material over and over again, you just glaze over it, glance over it. This material here, I'm breaking down each chapter so you don't miss out. Okay, now a very small amount of people use this power, this sixth sense, creative imagination, deliberately and on purpose, right? But most people never even use this power in their entire lifetime. They go their entire life and never ever tap into the power of creative imagination, which is our strongest, our greatest power that we can have in our lives. Okay. Now, where do these ideas come from? Right? These ideas come from four places. Right? Four places these ideas come from. See if I can give you guys. I'm not going to do a list here. I'll just do the four places. They come from hunches. Well, they come from infinite intelligence. They come from one's subconscious mind. They come from the mind of some other persons. Who has just released the idea. That's right. And last, it comes from the other person's subconscious storehouse. So those are the four places, the only four places that you can get this information, guys, the only four. Okay? So how about we learn some of the methods used by geniuses, right? You guys ready? We learn some of the methods used by geniuses so that they can be available to you. So, I made that real small just now. I'll move this here a little bit, guys. Let's move that around. So you guys can have tons of area to screenshot. Make this nice and small and put it right here. There you go. Now, guys, we are going to learn some skills, some tricks. Okay. Now, the major difference between a genius and most of us is that the fact that the genius works through his faculty of creative imagination, while most of us know nothing of this faculty. I told you, most people go through life never using their creative imagination, ever. So I'm gonna give you guys a little example of how the genius goes through and he taps into his creative imagination. Okay, maybe I'll give you guys a little note. I'll put it in a note and make it smaller. Okay, the first thing he does, right? He stimulates. He stimulates his mind, guys, so that it functions at a higher than average plane. Now he uses one or more of the 10 stimuli or some other stimulant of his choice. Okay? So he stimulates his mind, and I'm gonna add to that so you guys aren't totally lost in this note when you screenshot it, so that it functions on a higher rate. So all right, so that's the first thing he does. Okay. And he uses one of the stimuli to get him there. So maybe I'll put a 1 and a 2 in front of this. 1. And the second thing he does, guys, is he concentrates upon known factors. So he concentrates on known factors, right? So if he's working on a project, he concentrates on the finished section of the project that he is working on. He puts his full concentration on that part of his invention. And he creates in his mind the perfect picture of the unknown factors, the unfinished part of his invention. So he concentrates upon the known factors. Then he creates in his mind of the unknown. I said factors, right? Yeah, unknown factors. So he creates in his mind a picture of the unknown factors. Now he holds this picture in his mind. Last but not least, third. I'll put third here, even though they don't have third. He holds this picture in his mind. So he holds this picture in his mind, then relaxes, clearing his mind and all thought, and he waits for his answer to flash in his mind. Okay, so that was third, and this will be fourth. And that is fourth. Okay, then after he holds the picture, the whole complete picture in his mind, then he relaxes his mind. and he waits for it to flash into his mind. Okay, and that is the creative power of a genius, guys. They know how to use this over and over and over again in order to create um, great chords of music, inventions, poetry. You know, great writers have done this, great poets have done this. Einstein, Edison, they have all done it over and over again. And this is how they stimulate their mind so they can function at a higher level, guys. Now, the human mind responds to stimulation, responds to stimulation. And among the greatest and most powerful of these stimuli in the mind is the urge of sex, guys. Now, when harnessed and transmuted, obviously, guys, this driving force is capable of lifting men into the highest sphere of thought, which can beset their path, okay, onto a from a lower plane. It just takes them to a higher level. Is what Napoleon Hill is breaking down. He's trying to tell you guys. Now, many great people have possessed this energy, but right, possessing it is not okay. Um, it is not the same as transmuting it. You can have a high urge of sex, okay, but if you don't transmute it properly into another source, it can be detrimental to your health, to your life, to your finances, to everything that you guys are dealing with here. Okay. Now, most of you guys agree, and this is important for you guys to know, right? Sex alone, right, is a mighty urge to action, but its forces are like a cyclone, right? It's like a cyclone, often uncontrollable. So you don't want to just have a high urge, uncontrollable urge. You know, you guys in your 20s and you got that high urge of sex, you need to have a control over it. Okay, going in your 30s, you need to have a control over it, guys. You need to learn how to transmute this early. Something that I wish I would have known in my younger years. How about that, guys? Okay, so now, but when mixed with the emotion of love, guys, the emotion of love, the result of that ultimate urge of sex, when mixed with love, the result is a calmness of purpose, right? Poise, accuracy, judgment, and balance. This is where the power comes in, guys. You're taking mind stimuli and you're mixing one of the most powerful emotions and then mixing it with another extremely powerful emotion. Okay, great people have done this in all walks of life who have created the life that they wanted. And I'm showing you guys right now, this is the trick, this is the ticket. This is what's going to get you there to that next level. If you have had the problem of achieving what you want in life, you mixing these emotions will get you moving, guys. It will get you moving. Now, the road to genius consists of the development, control, and the use of sex, love, and romance. This is what geniuses use. They have the urge. They usually is love and romance. Most of them, and if you look in the history of time, most men have achieved great things when they had the love of their wife, right? Or a great love, someone who they truly, truly cared for, who helped them to harness all of their energy and guide themselves into a path of genius, guys. This is life changing. I want you guys to know that. Okay, it is life changing. Now, there is there are other roads, obviously, through voluntary self effort that you can get to having the life that you want. But most importantly, guys, I want to tell you guys this, right? It's when you mix these three emotions of love, I'm putting them in a circle for you guys. Love, sex, and romance. It is life changing. Right? So let's put this here. You know me, I gotta move my circles around a little bit. So in the first circle, we have the emotion of sex. Then we have the emotion of love. Then we have the emotion of romance. These are key elements, guys, that you are going to use to transform your life from mediocrity to extremely powerful levels of genius, guys. Levels of genius. And I'll tell you why. And this is what I learned, right? Um, that calmness, that and you know some, and I'm gonna write that down for you guys as I wrap this up here today. One of the most important things when these are all combined, um, the control, it comes from persistence and habit. How do you control your urges? It's from persistence. And we already gone through the chapter on persistence, but the secret lies in understanding the process of transmutation. The process of transmutation is how you guys get there. The stimulation of the mind, the concentrating on the unknown factors, moving to the creating a whole picture in your mind and concentrating on the known and unknown factors and putting that together and thinking about it, and then allowing afterwards relaxing and clearing your mind and allowing infinite intelligence to step in and come to you in a hunch or a flash or however it comes to you guys. That is the power of this. And I'm gonna tell you guys, if you guys have already gone through all of the other steps that I talked about, and you have all of your purposes and your definite chief aim written out and you're reading it every day, start to add the element of sexual transmutation, meaning get your energy levels built up. Get your energy levels built way, way up when it comes to the transmutation of sex. And then take that same energy and thrust it into your work. Things that you have to do, things that you want to accomplish. Okay, using that energy for things that don't move you forward is wasted energy, guys. So understand that the three important things that I told you guys about, it was the perpetuation of mankind, the maintenance of health, okay, and the transformation of mediocrity into genius through transmutation. Use those energies properly, grow, okay, think and grow rich, and understand, guys, that as we break this down, each and every chapter, you will grow every time you read this book. Because guess what? Every time you read this book, you're a new person. So hopefully I've given you guys some good content and knowledge that you can use from this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And in saying so, click on my link, okay, subscribe, and watch all the rest of my videos. I am going to be going over about 150 books as my goal for 2020, 150 books. So, and going over those 150 books, those are books that are all life changing, guys. So, you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.